Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting UNESCO and for having us here. It's an honor and a pleasure also to see that Indian people are really getting ready to do much more about conserving and promoting and educating people towards the geoheritage in India. Of course, in the United Nations we have 5 different systems for nature conservation. First and foremost, and the oldest, is the World Network of Biosphere Reserves. India has 12 biosphere reserves, participates successfully in it in the network since 22 years. 12 biosphere reserves have been established. They are very similar to geoparks, except for they don't focus that much on geology, but it's all about people and nature conservation and sustainable human living in harmony with nature. Geoparks as well. The second system that the United Nations has is also being based at UNESCO. It's the World Heritage Convention for the conservation of cultural, natural or mixed heritage. It's 1 year younger than the Biosphere Reserve. It was established in 1972. And the third system that UNESCO has is the UNESCO Global Geoparks. Now, the UNESCO New Delhi office serves India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, the Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, 6 countries, and none of them has a global geopark. But each one of them has very rich geoheritage. I mean, if we look at it, we are basically going from the Maldives, from below the coral reefs, all the way up to Kanchenjunga, above 8,500 meters above sea level. All of these 6 countries have very rich heritage available, and it would be desirable to promote that more, to advocate more for it, and also to benefit from it, and the countries are not doing that yet. So it's very good to be here and to listen to all the experts and to see that there are very sincere efforts going on to do more about that. Next to the 3 UNESCO conservation systems that I mentioned, biosphere reserves, World Heritage Sites and global geoparks, there is also the Ramsar Convention for wetlands, and then there is, from the Food and Agricultural Organization, the globally important agricultural heritage sites. So geoheritage, it would need, of course, a focal point on federal level to coordinate all of this, and UNESCO is, of course, ready and willing to help. Just now, when you called me for the interview, I was listening to the gentleman from the Ministry of Mining. That would be one option, but he suggested that it should be based at the Ministry of Culture. But then World Heritage Sites are based at the cultural sector in UNESCO, whereas geoparks and biosphere reserves are in the natural science sector and coordinated very closely with each other. So there might also be the idea of having them under the Ministry of Earth Science, for example, but this is up to India, what they find best for the Indian government and the Indian people to decide how best to coordinate that. So undoubtedly, and you will hear that later in my own presentation, I'm giving a presentation in the panel discussion at 4:30 in the afternoon, there is a lot of benefit that India and also the other neighboring countries that I mentioned could have from developing geoparks and getting more active in geoheritage conservation and the promotion of good geotourism. Not all kind of tourism, as one of the ladies in the morning session mentioned. She was very concerned about bad tourism practices. Of course, the geopark should have a management plan to it, and the management plan should very clearly consider what type of tourism should be conducted in and around geoparks, what type of tourists should be there, how can their behavior be driven in such a way that they are behaving culturally sensitive and environmentally conscious. And then there should be also a limit to the number of tourists that any given size can carry, so that the carrying capacity will not be overstepped.